So when you take a look, this just has a layer that's locked, and in Photoshop, if you only have one layer, you can't hide it, so you can double click on it, and this part will make it into a new layer. And when you do that, it unlocks itself, and if you click off of it, you'll see that it disappears and it's transparent, and this is the background that you see, these checkerboard pattern. But once you have it, you can still, in the panel, lock this layer so you don't accidentally drag it off or dry it down. And here's the layer, just a new layer from here, very similar to the other software, so you can also do new layer from here. So what you have is the paths, and the paths are actually pieces that don't take up any space. They're not like the vector, they're just straight lines here. So what we'll do is we'll just zoom in and kind of follow along this panel. And you click on the paths palette, which is in the layers and the channels. The paths is there are no paths right now, but you have the tools, and if I click on it, it'll make 2 rows of them if you like to keep it set up that way. But it does have the pen tool, and up in the top, when you have all the control panels here, the path makes a shape or a path. In this case, we're going to just keep it set to path. And all you need to do is click to go from A to B, shift key that down, and if you went over to the C, it kind of connects to it, so you have to hold the command key down. It'll turn it into an arrow and deselect it. And over here you have what they call a working path. So if I start another path, it'll overwrite this one, so you always have to save this, and I'll just call it AB. Click OK. And now you're set to do another path, but it really doesn't take up any space on the format. So when you click down in this space beneath the title of the paths, it'll disappear, and when you click on it, it reappears. Okay. If I zoom into it a little bit, there's the tool right under the pen tool, and this is the path selection tool. You have both path and direct, so I'm just going to take the path, so it'll take the entire section and move it, and that's how you just adjust these together. This part down at the bottom, when you see this listing of the paths, I'm on a blank layer, so I go back to layer just to see it. And what I can do is, the part that's next to it is the stroke. When I click on it, it'll use the last tool that was used in the program to color it in, and now it's on its own layer. Okay, so if I undo it and go back to paths, this time with that outline, I just hold the option key down, and it shows the stroking of the path. And right now the last tool I had was pencil, and when I click in it, you can see you can pick every tool that's there. And if I pick a brush, for example, I'll click OK, and it looks like it was a very large brush, so we'll just go back into the brush panel. It was a 900 pixels, so I'll just come back on the screen, make it a little bit smaller using the bracket keys, and keep in mind I'm on a brush, a layer at least, that'll give me that selection. So I'll just come back here, close out of this, so that's the actual brush thickness to it. So now it'll be a stroke. It'll stroke it with that brush. So just come down here and click on it, and that's how you actually paint with the tool itself. Okay, so then just take the pen tool and practice with the pen. So right now I'm on this layer, so I'm just going to go to C and D, space bar, come across, hold the command key to deselect so I can start a fresh one. This one, it'll constrain if you hold the shift key down, and just travels across from there, so just kind of holding it inside there all the way to H. Okay, and again, all of these you'll see on this part. If I go to panel options, get this a little bit larger, you can see the 2 paths and the 2 shapes that they've actually made with the triangular shape. Okay, just make it down a little further and take a look at these shapes right here. So here's the magnifying glass just to click inside. This time you're going to close it to make a shape. So J, If you hold 45, you'll see it goes off, so it's almost an equilateral. Shift key will keep it straight. And then there's an actual star shape. Just be careful holding the shift key down. So this is very large so you can see it. And there's all the pieces right there. So now the idea is to go back into the layers. Here's the panel that has the template that you just traced over. And you can barely see anything. I'm going to put a new layer right above it and just hold down. Option Delete will fill it full of the foreground. Command will fill it with the background. And on top of this, going to try to use some of the imagery for the color. Under Window, just go to the Color panel. You can see the options open up over here and swatches that you have. Okay, so see if you can take these with the paths. Here's the path selection tool, and select this one at a time and select a color and see if you can go about taking these out and stroking these with different colors, and also with different size brushes. So for example, here's the brush diameter. I'm going to make it pretty large. Pick a different color. Give it that color. Pick another color and make the brush a little bit smaller. Caps Lock key is going to give you the shift key to it, and the more you click on it, the more it puts down that one stroke of color. Letter A to grab the path tool itself, and this will be a little different. We'll take a light blue, but instead of hitting the stroke, we'll hit next to it the fill, and it fills it that color, and then we'll go ahead and click on it and stroke it with that color. So you're able to pinpoint it, and again, here's the click on B for brush, make that a little bit smaller. You can start to see how your colors affect the different pieces that you have. Letter A, select that, I'll give it a fill, pick a different color for the stroke. And so far I've just used the brush to click on that color. Hopefully you see that part. Okay, so when you're done, you just have a simple graphic that has this selection to it.